everybody. I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 44, part 4, the final part of the L's. Just in time to wrap up 2023.
And just in time to go back one game.
This seems to be a pattern. This is not our fault.
This was a Kickstarter that came in. It
Kickstarter
came in a little bit later, but still, even with this, it was... It
would have been a
had to
go back
be here
no
like
matter
5
what.
years ago for it to be...
2 years. That's it.
So, let's start with it. This is Age of Rome, which just came in. But this is Age of Rome. This is a civilization builder, I guess you could call it. Kind of, maybe.
I think so.
A town builder. Anyway, this is one. It's really cool. Call it a gimmick, kind of like how Planet Unknown has the little Lazy Susan. This has a board in the middle that you're building up whatever area is in front of you with these little acrylic tiles.
Tiles, yeah.
And you're going to do the actions in that area that you can do by placing your workers out on it. And then at the end of the round, the board moves. So the area you were just in is not going to be in front of you anymore.
Right.
And it's going to move by whatever the event card says, whether it's going to move 1 or 2 turns to the right or 1 or 2 turns to the left. But you just got to be aware what you just build up is going to possibly be what the next person in line is going to be able to play.
He's going to be able to play with, yeah.
So you're kind of cautious of how much you build it up because you don't want to, like, especially like battle, you don't want them to build up where they can get a bunch of soldiers out to get it on the field. If that's your goal, is to get a bunch of soldiers out there to win the areas.
I would be curious to play this with more players. We played it in 2-player when we first got it. This is your base board. Not very exciting. Unfortunately, the exciting part, the part that rotates, is at the very bottom of the box. I'm not going to pull it out. And then you've got this little wooden block that goes here that everything rotates around. So it's really nice the way they did it. The player boards are double layered, which is nice. Each player has a little kit of their stuff. This could have been handled better.
Yes.
But it is what it is.
Because and if you have the game, you'll understand.
Well, there are like, okay, great, this is Yellow's pieces, but these need to come out for every play, whether Yellow's playing or not.
Mm-hmm. And same with the
little black cubes. Yeah,
the tokens,
what are those called?
Those things right there.
Yes.
Boom, right there.
I don't remember what they're called. But anyway, these come out and these come out and this gold bar here comes out. So those are all communal property. I wish they had come up with another way to store these. But it is what it is. So, but they did have those that are nice. The acrylic tiles are what makes this game shine to me. And these are beautiful. So these are all clear acrylic tiles that stack on top of each other as you increase the ability of your area, the area you're building up in. They just stack on top of each other, and they're gorgeous.
So it kind of has the feel of Maglev Metro, the acrylic tiles of Maglev Metro.
Yeah, it does. So those are beautiful, and this is what makes the game shine. This and that rotating, the ability to rotate that board around, and that you are only ever playing on the piece of the board, the quarter of the board in front of you. No matter how many people are playing.
When you build a building, you turn up the population. And the treasure or gold or whatever it is. Income on that. So when it comes back to you, you're going to get the income that's on the board.
Yes.
So,
of that area. Again, you may not have done the building on it, but you're going to get the income for that area.
You're going to reap the benefits of somebody else's build. So, but it's really cool, especially once the board fills out. And then there's medals that you get. If you build like the level 3 of one area first, you get the medal, which is extra points, and a special power that you get to use for that kind of action. So it was a long-awaited game. I was excited to get it. It was one that I kickstarted.
Yes.
So I have less Kickstarters than she does now.
So that is Age of Rome. If you cannot tell, we both very much enjoyed our play of it. I'm definitely anxious to get some more plays of it and with higher player count.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Age of Rome, staying in the collection.
Well, I hope so. We just got it.
I know, right?
On to the L's. I think we'll start out with the little game that we played on an airplane heading to Dallas. And this is Love Letter, the little bitty bag edition of it.
We got this super early on. We've had this for a while. It actually has just kind of been hanging on the end of our shelf on a command hook for a while.
And we've played this quite a few times. We played this a bunch at Holiday World when we were chaperoning a choir group out at Holiday
we spent
World,
2 days at Holiday World, rented a cabana for all of the adults to kind of hang out in. And it was kind of nice because the kids always knew where to find an adult. Whoever the adult was on duty was there in the cabana. So, and when it was our turn to be on duty, we would just break out a couple small games, and this was one of them.
Yep. And we taught this to a couple of the other parents.
We did. We played this 4-player quite a bit that weekend. So the way this one plays is you shuffle up your cards. From the top of the deck, you take one card off and put it aside. Nobody knows what it is, but that way there is always the possibility that the princess is out of the game, and nobody knows it. So you take that one card and you set it aside. In this case, it's just a card, so we're okay, but you wouldn't know that. Then if you're playing 2-player, you take 3 more and you place them face up off to the side. These cards are not used in this game, but that's only in a 2-player game.
But that's information that
that's information you have.
Those cards are not in the game.
Exactly. So you have those set aside.
But there's multiple copies of some of
There are. And then from there, everybody takes 1 card. This is your starting hand. At the start of your turn, you draw a card, and then you decide which of these 2 cards you're going to discard in front of you or to play. When you play it, there's text down here at the bottom, and you got the princess, didn't you? Yeah. So that there's text down here at the bottom, and you can play that on another player by discarding it in front of you. Like this one here, name a non-guard card and choose another player. If that player has that card, he or she is out of the round. Well, I might say, okay, do you have the prince? Or do you have the princess? And if so, that player's out of the round. I won. The game ends when either only one person's left standing, or all the cards are gone, and then it's whoever has the highest numbered card in their hand. In this case would be the princess, and if nobody had the princess in their hand, then it would be probably the king or the court countess or whomever is the next highest card. It's that simple.
Yeah, the princess card's great to have, but if you're forced to discard it, you're out for the round.
Yes, so you have to hold on to this one. You can't ever play this card. Super easy game. You play, each round you take a cube if you've won, and then whoever has the most cubes at the end basically wins the game. So very simple game. This one sat in our collection for a super long time, and the last time we played it was Holiday World, up until the time we played it on the plane. We're going to move this to the other collection, just because it is a very popular game, but it's just not one that
we pull off the wall.
Yeah, we just don't pull off very often anymore because we have so many others, even ones that we prefer to travel with, like Kodinka and some of the roll and writes we have now. We prefer to travel with those. So, but anyway, Love Letter, great little game, but it is going to move to the travel collection, where other people can hopefully love it too. All right.
Okay, the next game was a surprise for us.
It's all I could do not to yell, loot!
Loot! And this was, what did I find out? This was a game by Reiner Knizia.
Okay, so, yeah, that's surprising. I don't know why that's surprising.
Game, just the look of the game, I'm like going, how good can this game be?
I read the rules on this, for this one, on the plane, on the way back from Dice Tower Retreat, and I fully expected to play it in the airport there, and we ran out of time. I don't know how we ran out of time. We had a 8-hour layover, but we ran out of time. We had a lot of small box games with us, but we never played it. We ended up playing it home, and after reading the rules, I'm thinking, oh, this one's hitting the sale pile. Do I even want to play it? And then we played it. It's actually not that bad.
No, it's not.
So...
Except for when you are the player that never gets a captain and the other player gets all the captain if you're playing 2 players.
Yep. So the way this one plays, you've got a number of different cards in the deck. You've got captain cards. There's 4 of these, 1 for each color of ship in the game.
And it basically automatically wins the
This
battle.
basically automatically wins a battle. So you hold on to these and play them only when necessary. Last game I ended up with all 4 somehow.
And the Admiral.
And the Admiral, yes, because there's also an Admiral. Because, yeah, see, there's one of the other captains. There's just an Admiral who is no border. He's generic as he gets. Yep. And then there are a number of ship cards. These are the pirate cards. So there's a number.
Those are the attacking cards.
These are the cards you attack with, right. And there's a bunch of them for each color, different strengths. Like there's a yellow 1 and a yellow 2 and a yellow 4. And then you've got your purples and your blues and your greens. And then you have your ship cards. And your ship cards are ultimately what wins you the game. You can place these out, but you're hoping you win them. If nobody attacks you before your next turn, then you win that card. It goes face down in front of you, and you just earned 5 points. However, good luck with that. There's a number of ship cards, lots and lots of them in the deck. And then when the game is over, everybody counts up their ship cards. Doesn't matter what else you have in your hand, you count up your ship cards, and that's who wins, whoever has the most gold.
I like the fact if somebody attacks your ship, you can also attack your ship to win the card anyway.
Yes. So you can. So
but
what
it's using
happens
up your cards.
is every round you get one turn. You start your turn with a deck of 6 cards. You get one turn. You play out a card, or you can attack somebody else's card. So if Greg had laid this card out, then I could attack him with a green pirate. Say this was Greg's hand. He could attack, he could defend this ship, because the way the rules are written, anybody else, even in a 4-player game, this plays up to 8 players actually, anybody else can attack this same ship. They just can't use green, because green pirates are mine this turn, at least against this ship. So he could attack with his blue. Now this is only a blue 2, so that wouldn't work. If he wants to win this one, he's going to have to pull out this blue captain and get rid of him. Or he can attack with a yellow. If he plays the yellow, then now I can come back, because we're tied. I can come back with more green. I don't have more green. I'm going to have to let it go, and I just do a different action on my next turn. And then he automatically wins it, because I didn't defend it. So it's an interesting
balance of
it's an
what
interesting
cards
give
to
and
play.
take.
If you're going to attack, you know it's going to be a large battle, especially if it's a large point card. You better make sure you have enough cards in that color to attack with.
To defend, interesting game. We're going to hold on to this one. It is going to stay in the travel collection. I like the fact it plays 8-player. I would love to play this at more players, just to see the difference between a multiplayer versus just a 2-player game.
Yeah, I think a multiplayer game would be a lot better, because in a 2-player game, if I was to put out a ship, and then you attack it, then I could put another ship out, but I'm going to lose the ship I just put out, and then your next turn you can attack that ship. So it's kind of like, what do you do? So it's like defend the ship. So
so anyway, interesting game. We're going to hold on to it. It does stay, like I said, it does stay in the travel collection. It will stay there. All right.
Okay. I'm going to get a series of games out real quick.
Okay.
This is The Lord of the Rings, Return of the Dark King.
Return of the King.
Return of the King. I didn't say Dark King.
No, it does not say Dark King.
Where did I get dark from? Okay, anyway, so then we have the Two Towers,
which is the middle one.
We have the Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first one.
First one, yes. So 1, 2, and 3.
So all 3 of them play a little different.
All
I mean,
three
they
play
still
a
have
little
the
bit
basic set of how
Yes.
you're doing it, but they all have one little thing you have to do other than
That's a little bit different, yes. So these play like any other basic deck builder. You have your points you can spend to purchase new cards. The difference with this over a lot of them, though, is that the enemies are not separated. The enemies are in the draw deck with everything else. There is no separate enemy stack that you're doing. So you're not recruiting.
There is an enemy stack.
Well, okay, you've got your big
the ones
bad.
that you have to take out.
Yes, you've got your big bad that...
So it's kind of like in Marvel Champions, where you have a stack of it, you got to take the certain ones out to be able to get to the big one.
As far as the big bad. However, the big difference is that, like in Marvel Champions, you have your enemy row and you have your
Marvel Legendary.
What did I say? I said champions, didn't I? I'm sorry. Marvel Legendary. You have your row of enemies, and then you have your row of allies. And you're recruiting your allies and fighting your enemies. But in this one, they're all in the same row.
Yeah.
And they all use the exact same points to do whichever. Enemies aren't
come
kept
out with
separate,
ambushes,
though. Enemies come out with... Well,
some of them do.
Yeah. They come out with ambushes that affect the next player, which a lot of deck builders do that. But... with this one, the enemies don't go into a separite victory pile.
No, they go right back.
They go into your deck, and they become cards you can play. So, I think this is these games are the biggest decks I think I've ever had in a deck builder because your enemies go into your deck.
There's no victory pile.
No, there's not.
Everything goes into your deck.
Yeah.
And then at the end you separate out and score the points you
Right,
get.
right. So with this one, if I remember correctly, was just basic.
You're
was
just going towards Mount Doom.
Yes. So this one was nothing unusual happened in this one.
This is basically getting you into the Lord of the Rings deck building game.
Yes. So this guy had a separate series of cards that were out on the board. That every once in a while you would have, here they are wall cards. And you'd have so many out based on your player count. And then you would have certain cards in your enemy/ally deck that said, pull a wall, draw a wall card. And you would draw a wall card. And some of them were not bad. Okay, this one says gain a corruption. This one says draw a card and then discard cards equal to its cost. There are some that do nothing. There are some that are really bad. Here's the breached one. The breached one is the worst. Because once this one comes out, it stays out. This one never goes away.
In the player who draws it.
Yes. So ongoing, that person has a -1 power. Period. The one less power they can use to fight or to recruit.
And there's cards in the deck. If the breach card is already out, a different power
something different happens. So this is the main difference in this game is you have this extra deck of cards that, and this is part of the timer of the game.
Yeah.
When this stack is gone, it's gone. And I was surprised at how many of these cards said pull a wall card.
Yep.
We went through this stack really fast.
Yes.
I was surprised at how quick that one went. So, but that's the difference with this one. That is 2 towers. And then the Return of the King.
You're basically Frodo taking the ring to the crack, isn't it? What's it called?
The slopes of Mount Doom.
Of Mount Doom.
The crack of Doom.
The crack of Doom. I was right. It was the crack.
So you've got the one ring that starts down here. And different
cards, actions
will tell you to advance the ring or back the ring down. Every time you beat one of the big bad guys, you advance the ring, which we kept forgetting to do. We'd have probably won this game a lot sooner than we did had we remembered that. But certain cards keep pulling it back down. So it's a constant tug of war on where this ring is going to end up. When the ring ends up down here, whoever gets it there flips it over and they get 5 points at the end of the game. That's the big difference in this one. All three are really good games. I definitely enjoy all three of them. They used movie stills on these cards,
yes,
which
they did.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the movie stills. I don't mind them in this. So some of them are a little cheesy, but most of them are pretty good. But yeah.
And everybody starts with a character that starts with an equipment card of some type.
Yeah, you start with, just like any deck builder, you start with 10 cards, all but Marvel, because that starts with 12. But you start with 10 cards, and you get 3 bad cards, 3 of your hand-clogging cards, and 6 that will allow you that give you power. And then everybody, depending on the character that you choose, gets one
special card.
Yeah, one of their maneuver cards. Yeah. So they get their specialty card. So, but yeah, and that's the same in all of these.
And this one didn't. This one have the card with the ring, and you could use it as defense. But as soon as you used it, it went back out to the top
until somebody else claimed
somebody else could claim it.
All great deck building games.
They all started on our collection.
They did. They sat on our shelves for a really long time until we needed the space, and we realized, we looked back at our list and we hadn't played them in probably 3 or 4 years. So we moved them over to the travel collection. I want to see if they get some love over there because they are great games. I don't want to get rid of them. We just don't play them as often as we should. So, but anyway, these are going to stay in the travel collection. Great games. So.
Right along next to The Hobbit.
Yes, yeah, the one we covered. We covered that a little while ago.
Next, we got a game from the Role Player universe, which I still don't understand, but this is Lockup. It's a stand cord down ski game.
I don't even think the artwork. I mean,
the artwork is the same.
You can tell it's the same artist.
Yeah,
but it's not the same genre. I don't think. Maybe
it's still fantasy.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is what Role Player is.
True. That's true.
Because how many lizard men do you actually know?
Well. All right. So here's your board. The premise of this game
You're in prison.
Is that everybody's in prison and
You're
you are
upside down.
trying to, I know. Okay. This board is two-sided. You've got your 3 and 4 player side or 3 to 5 player side, then you've got a side for 2 players. So the idea with this one is that everybody is in prison and you are trying to recruit goons to your side to get victory points off of them or to get special resources off of them. You are picking up resources in the different areas, but this is all blind bidding. Well, not all blind. It's about 50% blind. Mm-hmm. In a multiplayer game, you can lay 2 of your bids face down so nobody knows what they are. And everybody has bid numbers ranging from 0 to 5. And one of them varies depending on how much power you have. And power cubes are something entirely different. You get those from going here to the exercise yard. That may make sense. But you're using the different resources you're picking up to get items and to craft items and to pick up goons. And those are essentially your points at the end of the game. It plays in 6 rounds, and then at the end of the 6th round, you tally up your points, and you're done. Mm-hmm. So it's an okay game. This honestly is one of the cutest things of the game is that your cell blocks. Everybody has their own little cell block with their character faces in it, and then on the back side is a stand to put your tokens, so that you can see exactly what you have, but nobody else can see. All they see is your cell block. I think this is the cutest component. So, this one has sat on our shelf because it was part of a collection. It was part of our role player grouping. We're going to move this over to the travel collection. It just doesn't come off the shelf for us. The last time we played it was like the month we got it, and that was it. So we're going to move it over there, and hopefully it will see some love there. But yeah, that is Lockup, a role player tale.
Mm-hmm. So this is upside down.
I didn't put that away.
This is Lorenzo el Magnifico.
Okay.
By the same people, it's the same designers as the Grand Budapest
Austria Hotel?
Austria Hotel. Why did I say Budapest Hotel?
I don't know. All right, so everybody has a player board. This one was interesting. We've played this before, and to be honest, it never, for some reason, it just didn't stick.
Right.
I could not remember anything about this game until we pulled out the board.
I just remember thinking it was...
I remember, I agree, again, I agree. My thoughts were all meh.
Yeah.
So this is your board. And there is actually a lot going on here. So it plays in 6 rounds, 3 phases, 6 rounds total. And at the start of each phase, you're putting out 4 new cards in each of these columns. And each of the cards do something different. So it's a worker placement. You have 4 workers. Everybody has, where'd they go? 4 of the little tower workers here, 3 of which their strengths are depicted by the roll of the dice at the start of each round. So they could have anywhere from a strength of 1 to 6. But you do have one guy, your neutral guy, who always has a 0. Now you can compensate that because 0 doesn't do you much good. With workers, there are workers down here that give you, for every worker you add, you get a +1 in your strength. So you're placing your workers out to either pick up these cards, and these cards will give you resources when you run your engine. They could give you extra bonuses, extra victory points right now. They could help you move up on the military track, which is important because you have to have so many military track in order to even get some of the cards. It helps you move up the piety track or the church track. And this can be exchanged at the end of every phase for victory points. But if you don't have at least a specific amount of piety, then
depending on which area
you're in, then you lose something and it's lost for the rest of the game. So it's not good.
So in the first you got to have 3, and then after you claim it, then you can sell those victory points
back.
Those points to get victory points.
Yeah. You can run your engine down here, either your production or your, I don't remember what they called this engine, but it was basically the yellow set of cards versus your green set of cards. You could get money, you could get more workers. So there's a lot going on here, and I felt like only having 4 workers and each worker having a different strength. Now all of these are just strength 1. So these were not too bad, except there's only one place to go, especially in a 2-player game, because some of the bigger spots are blocked off. But up here, you have to have a 1 to go to this first card, a 3, a 5, and a 7, which means you're definitely using workers to get up there.
Yeah, well, this is like a 1. You could use a 3.
Do more,
you
yes.
could use any number.
It has to be a minimum of this number.
Right.
But the key up here is the first person to go up there, the only thing you're paying is what the card requires. You're not paying anything extra. But if Greg already has a guy in the green row or the blue row, and I really want something from the blue row, I now have to pay 3 lira in addition to whatever the card costs me, just to be able to go into that row. So the money I found was really tight in this. I was constantly looking for extra money.
But there is an area down here where you could go and get 5 gold.
There is. But that doesn't last very long.
No, it doesn't.
So, but it was, okay, so I think we both walked into this one thinking
it's going to be
it's going to be an game. I think we both really enjoyed it.
We really enjoyed the second player.
Yes. So I think this one's going to stick around for a while. Oh, usually you turn it so that it's the other way. Okay, you didn't turn the box. Okay. Anyway, Lorenzo El Magnifico. It ended up being a bigger surprise than we thought it would be when we played it our second time. So we're going to hold on to it.
One of the big surprises, it's a CMON game.
It is.
It doesn't feel like a CMON game.
No, it does not. It does not. So yeah, good game. Very meaty. Lots of decisions to make, and all of them were. This is one of those games that, like I said, I like the types of games who give you 10 good decisions, and you have to decide which good one you want to take. Yep. There was no bad decisions.
No.
So, and that's
you always
the
was
hard
able to
part.
work towards what you had, because you had those
the leader cards.
The leader cards that it gave you a way to go. It gave you an idea how to
direction.
Go. A direction, yeah.
Yeah.
But once you got them done, they're not worth any points. Whether you got them done
they're
or not. But they will help you with stuff.
They do. They give you ongoing bonuses throughout the game, which are nice if you can get them out early. Yes. But they're hard to get out early, especially the good ones. So but yeah, it was a good one. It'll stay.
Yep. Next, we have a game of losers.
Game of losers.
This one, this is the one where if you got it wrong, you had to pick up a letter.
Yes.
And if you spelled loser first, you lost because you were the loser.
Yeah, this one was this was weird. All right, so here's your board. So what happens, you roll a dice, you move around the board, and then where you land determines what happens. If you land on any one of the main 6 spaces, then
you
get asked a question. If you regularly write in a journal, unless it's for work, take a loser letter. And this is where you have to play you have to be honest about it, because otherwise what's the fun? So if you regularly write in a journal, and you were on the S, you take the S. The only free spaces on this are if you already have the S and you land there, then nothing happens and it's the next player's turn. If you land on an all play, then everybody has to answer this question and take any letter they don't already have, if they indeed have to take one. Roll again, you just roll again. Challenge, I don't remember how challenge worked. Take a question, read it silently to yourself, decide which opponent would most likely to take a loser letter. If the question were read to them, declare who you're challenging. You must challenge someone and then read the question out loud. If the challenged person must take a letter, he or she receives one of the loser letters he or she does not already have. If the challenged player does not, then the one whose turn it is takes the letter. So it's basically a reverse switch. So
right.
Some of the questions were really odd. And we were like, really? I don't know. That one was kind of mild. Some of these were really bizarre.
Well, it is ages adult and teens. So.
This is true. If you've ever owned an album by the Spice Girls, Milli Vanilli, or Michael Bolton, or any of the Osmonds, take a loser letter.
No.
I was was going to say, how many people from our generations never owned an Osmond album? Because I know I did at one point. From Donny
I would
Osmond.
say my oldest sister did, but she's not a Gen Xer. She's a boomer.
Oh, okay. So,
She
but
had
anyway,
all of them because she was like madly in love with Donnie.
yeah, there were a lot of us back then that were. So this is going to leave the collection. This one does sit in the travel collection right now. It is going to leave the collection. It's just not the kind of party game we want to take out someplace. So
Well, it's for adults.
it is. It is. There is, yeah.
Adults and teens.
Yeah. Which we do a lot of stuff with teens, but I still don't think that.
Yeah, it's not one I don't see it coming off a shelf no matter what.
I don't either. I don't either. The title might grab some teenagers, but
then when they sit down to start playing, they're
gonna put it right back. Yeah. So anyway, that is Loser, and it is leaving.
This next game is one we've actually started playing this on our podcast. Our last podcast, we started giving each other these questions because we decided it was a game. We was like, going, there's no way this game is fun, but we actually enjoyed playing this game.
This has been one of the more fun trivia games.
This is Logo, the board game. So it's a little bit dated in some areas, but actually some not.
Some of these brands have been around for decades.
And they're still recognizable.
And they are still recognizable. And some of them were like, really? I didn't know that. So they were just fun. So, all right.
Like
so
the
here's your
Whirlpool bath.
Board. Yes.
Which I don't understand why they call it a bath.
Anyway, so there's your board. Everybody starts here. And the way this works is you have this giant box of cards. Do this so they don't tip over. Maybe. Here. And the pieces, I think, are adorable. They're these little twisty pieces, if you can see that. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't like this box, though. It's the only thing I don't like. Because you can't get the cards out. And we actually had to take a chunk of cards out just to be able to get cards out. All right, so you pull a card. On the back of the card tells you something. It's like this card, every question is in relation to the Polaroid brand. This card is all popular brand names. This is all about ice cream.
It's the Pringles.
It doesn't even tell you what this one is,
so
but hopefully everybody knows that logo.
Some are...
and I'm looking for the last one.
Yeah, some are potluck, so that's going to be anything.
That's what I'm looking for.
Other ones are themed, and the theme is on the front of the card, and then the other ones are logos.
So what happens, you pull one card out, you show them the back, especially if it's a logo, because some of the questions may say, what is this logo? In fact, the very top question on this is name the brand.
Some people will get it.
Yeah.
Some people might not.
Pringles.
Yes.
So, and then it tells you the answer on there. So now what happens is if the person got it right, then they jump to, let's turn it over. Here we go. They jump to the purple space. Then the next card says, other potato crisps don't just do this when compared to Pringles. Pringles. If they get the answer right, happens to be stack up, part of the slogan, then they move to the green. So the first four are all right there in order. But say I missed this green, and then on the next card, I get this celebrity endorsers. Oh, I'm not going to get that one. We'll wait. Famous founders. What film studio was founded by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen? I didn't know this. I didn't know Steven Spielberg founded this. But anyway, it's DreamWorks. Say I got that right. I would not have, but say I did. And I was right here, then I would jump to the next purple. And then maybe I got the green right, then I would jump to the green. And then maybe I got the yellow, I would jump to the yellow. And you jump to the next color that you get right on your card. You always start at the purple on every one, and when you miss one, your turn is over. But it enables you to jump around the board actually really fast. And the questions were they were fun. They were not impossible to answer, which was nice.
This one I would have gotten all but the green one.
What's that? Unfortunately, the green, the NHL, yeah.
Do you know what the name of the NHL championship trophy is?
Isn't that the Stanley Cup?
Yes.
Yay!
This is the one I would not have gotten. Name the beloved English game from which the NHL's hat trick of three scored goals originated from. So where did the phrase hat trick come from? Of 3 goals scored.
I have no idea. It's an beloved English
game. It's played all over the place, though. But
cricket? I mean, it's the only English game I can think of.
Well, the English Premiership of soccer is one of the most popular sports out there.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of was cricket.
I can't believe you got that one. Wow.
Well, see, and that's just it. I like the fact that sometimes you can make wild guesses based on information on the question.
Okay.
I just went with English
Here's a
game.
question. Do you understand the game cricket? Because I don't think even English people understand the game cricket.
Not.
I didn't even know enough about cricket that they score goals.
I didn't either. It was just the only English game I knew. Anyway, we're going to keep this game.
This is coming to be part of the podcast because we're going to start asking more of these questions on the podcast.
We had a good time with this one, if you cannot tell. So we're going to hold on to this one. It is going to stay in the travel collection, though. But yeah, we had a blast with this one. But yeah, that is the Logo board game, a trivia game that is actually not impossible to answer questions on.
It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. All right, next.
Next, we got out of the game that we hadn't played in a while, and this was actually on your brother's list of games that he had not played, and luckily it was an L, and we had needed to play. And this is Lords of Waterdeep.
Yes. So we have bi-weekly game nights with my brother and his wife. And we try to play one game we need to get played, and then we play one of their quote-unquote pink sticky note games, which means the games they've never played they want off their shelf of shame, which is about half their collection.
Yeah, their shelves are pretty pink.
So this one kind of crossed both paths, so this is what we did. Anyway, so Lords of Waterdeep. This one is
D&D based.
Yeah, it is. It gives you that distinct feeling of D&D. We have the expansion too. We've not played it in a while, so I'm not going to touch on that. But here is your board. Your board is basically made up of a series of areas.
You know what that area is?
I'm going to guess someplace in London. Is it supposed to be Camelot? I'm not sure. I never really thought that hard into it.
It's Water's Deep.
Oh.
Lords of Water's Deep.
Well, no, that makes total sense. The way you were looking at me, I thought there was something more to it.
I figured you'd get it.
Yeah.
D&D player, you are not.
I am not. No. Other role-playing, yes. D&D, no. And all my friends know this, so they're okay with it. All right, so here is your board. The board, this is a worker placement at heart. So you've got your areas here that you can go into to get various resources. One of the things you can do is to build. And there are 3 tiles laid out here that you build. When you build them, you put them down into one of the areas around the side of the board with one of your tokens on it, showing that you own that tile. That this building that you've put right here is yours. And I can't do this with one hand, so you know. And then whenever somebody else uses this building for the resources, you get something out of it.
And it's always down there in the corner of the card.
Yeah, it says down here in the corner of the card what that is. So you're building out around the city to do this. This game plays in, 8 rounds?
8 rounds, yeah.
Which seems like a long time. It is not. You do get one additional worker about halfway through the game. But you've got quest cards up here that take certain resources in order to complete. You've got intrigue cards you can play out that will allow you to do certain things, that will allow you to do special abilities. Just a lot going on, but I've always remembered this fondly. And I always remembered really enjoying it. And then we played it with them last weekend, and it was better than I remembered. This is, I don't want to say it's an old game. It's an older game. It is a classic. But this one's been in our collection for a long time, and it's going to stay. I'm anxious to get it back to the table with the expansion, because we haven't gotten to play it in a while. But yeah, competitive board game of fantasy and intrigue, or fantasy intrigue.
In the city of?
Waterdeep.
She learned something,
I can
guys.
learn. But yeah, it's going to stick around. All right.
So we got this one to the table last night.
Oh, I love this
And we
game.
played with every single expansion we had. Because we have Level Up, we have Lords of the Dark. Is that what the newest one was? Because everything we have in here is Mayfair.
Lords of the Underworld.
Except for Lords of the Underworld, which was Burn Island
Lords
games.
of Vegas Underworld, yeah.
Underworld, yeah.
Okay.
And then we also had some minor ones like Mob Boss and Union Workers, and then the Sky Bridges and stuff.
So the way this one works, this is
Vegas.
Yeah, this is all about building
during the
out
mobster era.
Building out the casinos on the Vegas Strip and adjacent areas. So here's your board. This shows the strip going right down the center, and then the various areas. So you've got 6 blocks of casinos you're trying to build.
8 blocks. Right?
There's 6. One,
no, okay.
2,
I was thinking there was a road coming through
no,
here.
no. Okay. So what happens, and I'll just do this to make it easy, is you've got a series of cards. There's one card in the game that says Game End. That's put about 3/4 of the way down the deck. So not all cards are ever going to come out. You are always going to have a dozen cards or so that don't. There are, and of course this side of the board doesn't show it. There are, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different casino types here, plus the strip that end up paying out. So what happens, you pull a card off the top of the deck, you put your cube on it, or your little marker on it to show that
what it says right here.
C2 is now my property. Nobody can take that away from me unless I give it to them. So I would put my little marker chip here to show that this is one of my lots. Then everybody in the game pays out $1 million, one bill, or in our case, 1 poker chip, because we play with poker chips, because it's much more thematic than paper money. You pay out for all of your parking lots that you have in the city. And then you put the card down. And now anybody who has built a gold Sphinx hotel or casino pays out. There are casino tiles here, and of course they're backwards, so you can't see them in the bag. But when you decide to build, so say I decide I'm going to take C2 and I'm going to build that, I would take one of the gold tiles, I would put it on there, I would pay $9 million out of my pocket change. I would pay $9 million, put that tile there, take one of my dice, put it at a value of 3, because that's what it says, and I'd put that right there. And it's not going to stand up because, of course, I'm doing that. Okay, so it's just trust it's there. So if I had already had this down when I pulled another Sphinx card, obviously I wouldn't if I had C2 down, then I would get $3 million for that if that dice still read a 3, and I would get points for how many ever tiles are connected together. In this case, it would be 1. And that works at the beginning of the game, but later in the game, if you notice, you need 3 points to jump over some of these hurdles, and back here you need 4 and 5 points. So you've got to build bigger hotels. Casinos. The up expansion allows you to put another tile under it, so now you have a 2-story one. He's worth 2 points now.
And
still $3 million,
you can go up
points.
levels to however many players are playing.
Yes. So in a 2-player game, you can only go up 2 levels, in a 3-player 3, etc. Super interesting the way it does. Now those cost a lot of money, though. Let me tell you, they are not cheap. So you are playing out until you run out of cards. Hotels or the casinos are paying out with every pull of the card. If you pull up a strip card, then any hotel that sits or any casino that sits literally on the strip pays out. Doesn't matter what color it is. The newest expansion, the Underworld, gave you cards that you could buy at some point during your turn. That some of them would let you spend $1 million to get an extra point, which helped you a lot last night.
Or give you a loan.
Give you a loan,
but then
that
every
you had to
time
pay back.
that it was a loan from one of the hotels, casinos,
yeah.
And then after that, every time one of those casino cards came up, you had to pay like $2 million back.
Yeah.
So
I had one last night. I paid $8 million to get it, but it doubled the output I got from all of my lots. So if I had 3 lots on the board, I would get $6 million instead of $3 million. That paid for itself in spades.
Yeah, and this one ended up being pretty close, didn't it?
It did. It really did.
And you thought I was way out in the lead on this one.
I did. Now this is a good one. We have had this one for a really long time. We have always enjoyed this one. It has the capability of having Take That in it.
Yes.
Because you can reorganize and you can
take over
merge with other people's casinos.
because you could come in with another casino color.
Yeah.
And put it, and it could be up against somebody else's. Then you could
Redecorate.
remodel.
Yeah, remodel or redecorate.
And make it the same color, and then reorganize if you don't have a higher dice number, and then could possibly take over the whole casino as the boss, and the boss is the only one that gets the point for the casino when the casino scores.
Everybody, no matter what, still gets the money for their dice, but
right,
the boss,
is the only one that scores.
And the boss is the one with the highest dice number in a casino with mixed dice.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I absolutely love this game.
The Bridge Connect expansion was really cool too, because now you can connect your casinos across the side streets.
Yeah, we did that a couple times last night. It worked out really well. So really great game. We've always enjoyed every play of this. It will stay in our collection.
Yep.
But yeah, that is Lords of Vegas. Fun.
So next we have a big heavy box. And this is, holy crumbly. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Then this actually has both expansions in it, right?
Yes.
And we played it just recently through the whole missing expedition.
Yes, we played this entire one. As you can tell, we just merged it into the box because we are done with the expedition now. So we just took all the pieces and merged them in. There's a way to play the whole expedition again, but I don't know that we will. It was cooperative, and we definitely loved it.
Yeah, and you could play with the expansion and not just do the scenario.
Yes, so, and that's easy enough to do. We'll come back to this one. So set that aside. We'll talk about that a little more. I don't want to do too much on that because I don't want to give spoilers.
No.
So Lost Ruins of Arnak has been out for a little while. There have been 2 expansions. As you can see now, we've got quite a bit of box lift on this, and I'm sure there are other inserts that will alleviate the box lift, but we have the folded space insert, which I do love because they're so lightweight and so inexpensive. All right, so here is your main board. And this board, it can get kind of big. But here,
it's a big
it is a big board. Here is your main board. Now, in addition to this, you've got another board down here that holds all of your resources and this holds all the resources down below, and then you have this area up here that holds all your cards. You've got your camp areas here, and then here is the areas that you're exploring.
These are all the digs.
These are the digs, yes. So you don't even put tiles out here until you are ready to go explore, and you have to pay compasses to get up into here to do so. And then once you do, you put down one tile, and that shows you get these resources off of this tile. Then you would put one of these monsters right on top of it, and now you have to, gotta flip the monster over.
Yep.
You have to battle this monster at this location before that location becomes free to access again. You can always go there, but you're taking a fear card at the end of the turn.
Which clog up your deck.
Yeah, which basically it's that deck clogger. So this is a light deck builder. I don't want to call it a deck builder, even though a lot of people do, because you can go the whole game and never buy cards.
Buy a card, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. So one of your options is to buy cards. You only have 2 workers that you're putting out to do things. Other than that, you're buying cards. You're advancing the track with the resources that you're making. So you have to be smart with those 2 workers to get what you need, or you're not going to get very far. And this is one of those games that in the first couple rounds feels like,
I'm not going to
get anywhere. But by the end of the game,
you're doing a lot.
It's shocking how much you're getting done. So
because it's kind of got that Everdell feel that you're not going to get much done, but the more you go, the more cards you can play, the different things you can do.
So the board is dual-sided. It has 2 different research tracks because you have this research track you're going up as well. And then each of the expansions came with even more research tracks. So there's a ton of variability here. You've got a lot of these, a lot of your location tiles. You've got a lot of monster tiles. You've even got double location tiles that go up toward the top of the board. Card play, resources.
Basically helpers.
Yeah, you've got little helpers that give you things every round.
That you get by going up the track.
Yep, that you get by going up the research tracks. So there's just a lot going on in this game. And again, like I said, it's one of those games that you don't think you're getting anywhere, and then suddenly you're there. The first expansion gave more asymmetric player abilities. The original game comes with just generic, everybody's the same boards. But the first expansion, which was, what was the name of the first expansion?
Leaders.
Leaders? Was that it? I thought it was something more than that. That's Missing Expedition. Expedition Leaders. Never mind, he was right. Darn it. Anyway.
That's why I make the big bucks.
It gave a bunch of asymmetric character boards, and now each character has a special ability that they can do to get them a little further along, which I really liked. And there's a number of those.
This is one of those expansions that I would say is vital to have.
Yes, absolutely vital. And they came with 6 new characters to play. The newest expansion came with another 2 that you can play. So now you have 8 characters that you can pick and choose from. And each one does something just a little bit different. And I love that. The Missing Expedition box
comes with an expansion that you can play just to play.
Yes.
You can pick missions from the
it is a
mission book, or you can just play it as a cooperative campaign.
It is a 6-mission campaign, 6-game campaign that gets, and the storyline is actually pretty good. It starts out with a little bit of double cross and ends up with, fighting the big bad, just like you would expect.
And a lot of missions that you start, it's like, how in the world are we going to finish this mission?
And there were a few. We ended up having to play mission 1 twice. And then once we realized, okay, wait, this is cooperative. And we went about it, we kind of changed our focal point and went about it, and it was a lot easier. And then the second one, it's like, okay, keep the same focal point, but how are we going to do this? And the third one got harder and then harder. By the 6th one, we were both kind of, but it worked. We did win it. Just a great campaign. Really good storyline.
And this is one we almost didn't buy.
We didn't. We had no intention of buying this until we saw it at Gen Con. And there was only a couple left on the shelf, so we bought it and really like it. Is it necessary? It gives you the 2 extra players.
It gives you a chance to play your Lost Ruins of Arnak cooperative and able to win the game.
Yes, I really like that. I do love the cooperative nature of it and the puzzle in trying to figure out how to make it work when things look impossible. And they look impossible quite often. So,
and like I said, when we finish this, I don't know if I can play this game head-to-head anymore.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, that is Lost Ruins of Arnak and the Missing Expedition.
And all the expansions, basically.
Yes, and all the expansions. Fantastic game. We're going to keep them. This box will probably
become a spacer.
Yes, because, I don't throw away boxes much as I wish I could. I don't. But this will definitely stay in our collection. I am looking forward to introducing it to other people. In fact, this is one of the game on Joe and Tony's God, that's heavy. This is one of the games on their shelf of shame. So, but yeah, Lost Ruins of Arnak. All right.
Next, we have a series of the same game in just different forms. So we're gonna start off with the original version of Lost Cities, the card game.
Okay. This is one of my favorite card games. I really like this one, and it carries out in the other 2 in one form or another. So here's your board, and then there was a mini expansion that added a 6th color that you just have. It's a little black one that you put off to the side. Everybody starts with a hand of cards. You start with 8 cards. If you don't play with the black expansion, you just take it out. No big deal. No, there we go. It's called the Lost Expedition. That is the name of it. That's great. All right, so you start off with a hand of 8 cards. The main focus in any of the Lost Cities games is cards are played sequentially. You start at 0, you go to 10, done. You start with 8 cards in your hand, and you are laying them out on your side of the board. This is a 2-player game. You're laying them out on your side of the board, and I've only got, I do have 8. You want to, if at all possible, start with negotiation cards, because these will amplify your score at the end of the game if you score enough. The scoring on this one is wonky, very wonky. So you put this out in front of the green. and then you draw a card. Every turn you have to either discard a card into the middle of the board or you play a card in front of you and then you draw a new card
from the deck.
Out of the deck. You can draw a card off the top of one of these or you can draw it from the deck, either way. And then your turn is over and the next player does the same thing. Ultimately, you are trying to get a series of cards down in front of you.
Wow, that's like your hands from the other night.
I know, right? So you're trying to get cards out one by one. Here's the catch. If you have started a row and you don't do anything with it, immediate negative 20 points. The cost of each expedition you start is 20 points. So that comes right off the top. And then you score and it gets added to that negative 20. Negotiation cards, double it. 1 doubles it, 2 triples it.
If you don't get any cards on it.
If you don't get any cards on it, you're still at negative 20 because you agreed to do it. Because you put the negotiation card down. But, so in this case, you would score, like with my greens here, I would score based on the number of points here. So I would have what, 10, 21 points. Doubled would be 42 minus 20. So I would score 22 points on this expedition. This expedition, I started it, would score, what is that, 13, 18 points? I'd have a negative 2 on this expedition. It cost me more than I made. Simple as that. You play 3 rounds. Whoever has the highest score at the end of the round wins the game. That's Lost Cities, the card game. This one is probably the wonkiest scoring out of all of them.
But it's the one I like the best.
But this is the one you like the most. It's just, there's a lot of strategy in this one. There's a lot of strategy in all of them, but this one is just super quick to play. And it is just 2 players. That makes it fast. So I'll leave that one there.
So with that, they came out with the board game version,
Yes.
which is the one that you like.
I like this one the most, yes.
And I'm like...
I know, you don't care. You could take or leave this one. So this one, same basic card play. Here's your board. I love the board on this one. It is so colorful. So the idea is you are, again, 8 cards. You play a card down in front of you or you discard a card into one of 5 colored stacks. Same as the other one. But here, every time you play a card down in front of you, you're taking...
move your person on one of the expeditions.
You are taking one of your expedition people and moving him along the path. Now, again, it costs 20 points just to start an expedition. Same as the card game. And each step you take reduces that cost a little bit till you actually get into the positives and start making money. These points are scored at the end of the game. Along the way, there are little chips along each of the paths that do one of 3 things. They either give you artifacts that you score at the end of the game, they give you victory points right off the bat, essentially money, or they allow you to jump on another path. So you get a little extra boost on another path. So if this happened to be one of those, then I had a guy over here, I could move him up. The game ends, there's 2 ways to play this. You can play a short game and play just 1 round, or you can play the long game and play 3 rounds. And the number of points you get for artifacts is dependent on which type of game you're playing. But each round ends when you have 5 players or 5 explorers have gotten across one of the bridges. Not into the final temples, but across a bridge. When the 5th one crosses that bridge, the round ends immediately. You exchange out your artifacts, and then all of the tiles go back on the board. You shuffle them all back up again. You shuffle your cards back up, and you start again until you've played 3 rounds. But the card play, like I said, is exactly the same.
This is all about getting those artifacts because you get big.
It really is. Those artifacts are huge.
And if you don't get, and like you said, they're randomly put out. So there could be a route that has like 4 artifacts, and you, like say the green route has 4 artifacts in it, and you never get a green card.
Yeah, or very few green cards.
You're going to fall behind on the artifacts really quick.
So like I said, I love this one. It has always been one of my favorites. I think I just love the colors and the card play on it. It's a Reiner Knizia. So,
and now the box covers are different. The yellow's not there. It's all blue.
Yeah.
So that's a
I like
blue.
the old one. Yeah, they just re-released this.
Yep. They re-released all of them, have new printings of it.
Do they? Okay.
Yep,
they probably went with that color. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, those are those two, and then we got one more.
And now they decided to make Lost Ruins Rivals, which is the one we least like.
It's a small card game, but this one went back to the 2 to 4 instead of just the 2-player card game. This is 2 to 4. This one
plays a lot like that one.
It does,
which is the basis of Lost Cities.
This is very different. You're laying cards out in front of you in the same fashion. However, how you obtain the cards has changed drastically. So everybody, you divide up these points evenly. There are a number of the coins, yes. There are a number of negotiation cards, and everybody starts with 2 of them. 2 different ones. Everybody starts with 2 different negotiation cards. Now, the way this one plays, at the start of every turn, and you divide this into 4 phases, so you've got 4 phases in the game. The only difference at the end of a phase is that the money that has been paid in so far is redistributed.
Yes.
Evenly amongst all players.
And any extra not evenly distributed stays up.
For the next round. So on the start of your turn, you have 2 choices. You can take a card and look at it, and then put it down. And this becomes a public area for everybody. This is now part of the auction area. The next player, same thing, can take a card, lay it down. Nobody does anything with these cards yet. Eventually, somebody's going to go, after you've got 3 or 4 cards out here, and hopefully there's some good ones, and blah, blah, whatever. Somebody goes, I'm going to start an auction. So instead of pulling a card, they start an auction. They start with how many coins they want to. And then round robin, everybody at the table can up their bid or bow out.
Pass.
Same difference.
It says pass in the rules.
Okay, fine. We'll be whatever.
Real Nazis.
Yes. Anyway, whoever wins the bet will take whatever cards they want out of the center. They don't have to take them all. If there's a bunch of 8s and 9s out here, maybe they don't want those 8s and 9s. But maybe they want this 2 and they want this 3 and even this 4. Well, yeah, the 4 looks good because I already have the 2. So I'm going to lay all these cards out in front of me and start these expeditions. Done. And then these cards move up. The person who wins the bet places 1 additional card out.
And they can also discard a card.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And then so once they've taken all the cards they want, they take 1 card out of the center if they want to. They don't have to. And they discard that card out of the game. It's gone.
Which is where the big take that comes from.
And yes, there's some take that in that. And then we put the new card out. The first player token goes to the next player who did not win the bid. The next player in line, the player...
Next person to the left of the winner of the bid.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say and could not spit that out.
It wasn't that hard.
I know. These cards are up in front of you. Play order changes, and then you continue on as normal. The next player can choose to either start another bid or to pull a card and place it out. Any money that was spent, the winning bidder puts their money to the side. It becomes now part of a central pool. Everybody else who lost the bid takes their money back. And then the play continues as normal through all 4 rounds. At the end of a round, everybody stops, you divide the money up, you keep going. Simple as that. You wouldn't think, we didn't care for this one.
No.
I don't know if it was the bidding, it changed everything for me.
I think it was all the bidding because you could bid the other person up, so they were using a lot of their money, and then they don't have as much money, and then when cards come up that you really want and you know they want to, you could just flat out just outbid them.
Yeah.
And get cards that some of them you didn't even really want.
Yeah.
But you still got to play them out if you take them, though. But you can also bid it to where you're going to get rid of a card that you know they desperately needed.
Yeah.
But and just because you got more money than everybody, you're going to get that bid no matter what. But it was just kind of...
It doesn't work in 2 players.
No,
we didn't think it worked in 2 players.
It might work better with 4, but...
It may just be it's not our kind of game. Neither one of us are big on bidding games, and that I'm sure played largely into it. We're going to let this one go. We have 2 copies of this. We have 1 in each collection. So
same thing with that too, don't we?
I only have one copy of the board game. I don't have a second copy of it. But we do have 2 copies of this one, so I don't feel like we need both of these. I'm not even sure why we ever picked this one up, to be honest. Probably because we liked these, so we did, not realizing it was a mechanic we didn't care for. Mm-hmm. So these 2 are staying. I have another copy of this in the travel collection. It will stay as well. The box is upside down. I'll fix it in a minute. Before he has a cow. This one's going to leave the collection, though. Just not our kind of game, and I don't feel like the travel collection needs 2 copies of Lost Cities, no matter what the form is. Anyway, that is Lost Cities. That is it for this episode.
And for the elves.
And for the elves. Yay! At this point, we're going to take a small break. We are heavily entering the holidays, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, it's like middle of
If you're
December
watching
already.
this when it first comes out, we're in the middle of the holidays.
So we'll hit the M's at the beginning of next year.
We'll start fresh in the new year.
How many episodes do we have for the M's?
If we stick to about 15 per episode, a lot. We'll be in the M's for a minute.
For a minute?
Or more.
So with that, we'll see you at the next one.